He boarded the flight like any other passenger. First class, tailored suit, calm confidence. But minutes later, a flight attendant had him by the throat, snarling like he didn't belong there. No one moved, no one helped, just wide eyes and silent phones recording. Was it a misunderstanding, or something far uglier? Why did the crew see him as a threat before he even spoke a word? And what made a billionaire sit still until it was time to strike back? Watch until the end. David Knox wasn't just a passenger. He was the CEO of one of the fastest-growing tech companies in the world. At just 38, he'd built a billion-dollar empire from the ground up. Smart, composed, and dressed in a navy blue suit, he carried himself with the quiet authority of someone used to boardrooms and billion-dollar deals. Flying first class was routine by now, just another business trip. As he stepped onto the jet, he nodded politely to the flight crew. No arrogance, no demands. But something in the flight attendant's eyes lingered a second too long. Was it curiosity? Contempt? David felt it, that subtle shift in the air. He brushed it off. He was used to being underestimated, but this time, it wasn't just about respect. It was about something deeper, something darker, waiting to unfold at 30,000 feet. It started with a drink. David had asked for sparkling water, but the flight attendant brought him something else, flat, warm, and handed over like an afterthought. He didn't complain. He'd dealt with worse. But then came the second slight. Passengers boarding after him were offered warm towels and a smile. David? Nothing. No eye contact, no courtesy, just silence. He shifted in his seat, trying to stay composed. When he rang the call button to ask about Wi-Fi access, the same attendant returned, this time with a sharpness in his eyes. "You people are never satisfied," he muttered under his breath. David froze. He heard it. Clearly, so did the woman in the next row, who raised an eyebrow but said nothing. Trying to diffuse the situation, David responded calmly, "I'm just asking a question." That's when it happened. The attendant snapped. Grabbing David's collar, he leaned in close, then, without warning, pressed his hand to David's throat, choking him. "I've had enough of your attitude," he hissed. Passengers gasped. A phone camera clicked on. One man shouted, "Hey, stop!" But no one moved. For a long second, it was just David, pinned in his seat, breath caught in his throat, face to face with hate. And then, David stopped struggling. Not out of fear, but out of calculation, because this wasn't the first time someone tried to silence him, and this time he had the power to answer back. The grip on David's throat loosened just as fast as it had come, but the damage was done. The cabin was dead silent, every eye locked on him, waiting to see what he'd do. David stood slowly, adjusting his collar, his voice calm but razor-sharp. "You just assaulted the wrong man," he said. He reached into his inner jacket pocket, not for a weapon, but for his phone. With one tap, he called his assistant. "Patch me through to the airline's board. Now." The flight attendant's face drained of color. Another crew member stepped forward, stammering apologies. "Sir, maybe we can—" David didn't blink. "I own 10% of this airline. I've been silent for years while people like you treated passengers like problems. That ends today." Passengers began to murmur. Phones were still recording. The captain emerged from the cockpit, pale and tense. But David didn't need backup. He was the backup. And now, he was about to shut it all down. The plane never took off. Within an hour, David's legal team was on site. The flight was canceled, the crew removed, and by morning, headlines around the world told the story. Billionaire. CEO grounds airline after racist assault in first class. The airline's stock dropped. Apologies were issued. Diversity pledges made. But David didn't want a statement. He wanted change. He forced a full audit of hiring and training policies, demanded reparations for past discrimination cases, and funded a watchdog group to protect future passengers from suffering what he did. He walked away that day not just as a CEO, but as a man who turned humiliation into power. Still, the scar remained, not on his skin, but in his memory. Because if he could be attacked for simply existing in a space he earned, what chance did those without power have? This wasn't just one man's story. It was a mirror, one that reflects a painful truth. Racism doesn't care about your wealth, your status, or your success. So, what would you have done in David's place? Tell us in the comments. What country and city are you watching from?